Okay, folks. So after we discussed what does it mean for consumer to have a preferences, when we pretty much just introduced the preference relation, which is again to say that consumer has a preference, there's the preferences that are just fancy way to say that consumer always can say like which product he likes better, like the product 1 or the product B. So anyway, after we discussed what are the preferences, it's a good idea to discuss what properties our preferences might have. And we're going to start with the first one, which we call completeness. And pretty much completeness is pretty easy property, which means that our consumer always can compare any two products that you provide. So if you just give your consumer like product, let's say A and product B, if you give your consumer pizza and burrito, consumers always will be able to say like, okay, I like pizza better than burrito, or I like burrito better than pizza, or I'm just indifferent between them. What is important that that does not mean that one product always must be better than another product. That just means that our consumer is always able to compare two different products. Like, and if the set of possible products is like more than two, like let's say that is pizza, burrito, fajitos, and whatever else, then no matter which one, which two products you pick from this set, consumer is always willing to say, always is able to say like, okay, I like the first product better than the second one, or I like the second one better than the first one, or I'm just indifferent between them. So the most preferences, or actually all preferences that we're going to discuss in this class, they all going to be complete. So completeness of the preference, that is a property that we always going to have in this intermediate microeconomics class. But actually, in real life, completeness might violate sometimes. So not all preferences that we have just in real world are complete. So one of the examples that I can provide you is, what if I ask you who you love more, your mom or your dad? It might be hard to answer, right? So for many people, actually preferences here are incomplete. I just cannot choose. So I just don't know like who I love more, which means that my preferences are not complete here. Or if you ask me like who of my two younger sisters I love more, the youngest one or the middle one? Actually, I think the youngest one because she's just so cute. And my middle one, she's a teenager right now. So it might be harsh sometimes, you know, but I didn't tell you that. Oh, I'm recording this, right? Anyway, okay, so not all preferences are actually complete. So some preferences might be, as we say, incomplete. Let me provide you maybe less extreme example. So let's say that you decided to have a dinner or a lunch, and you just visited some cafe. It might be even your favorite cafe, but it still might be that you don't have complete preferences over myriad of all these products that they provide, right? So, I mean, even if it's your favorite cafe, then probably you have like the best product, the ones that you prefer the most, like maybe the ones that you prefer the second, and etc., etc. But it like I will bet that you don't have that you will not be able just from the top of your head compare any pair of two products. Or at least you don't have these preferences like already designed in your head, right? So, or if you just visit some local grocery store and you want to buy, like, I don't know, some cereal, for example, there are so many different brands that it might be. So I will bet that for some of us, our preferences for cereal are not complete. So we have the favorite brand that we usually go with, but I think I will not be able to compare like any two brands. I just don't know much about that. Okay, so that is pretty much what is the completeness of our preferences. So again, if you have like the set of different products, if you always can compare like any pair of these two products, so if you for any two products you can say which one you prefer better, then your preferences are complete. So the second property that is going to be very important for us is so-called transitivity property. And like, well, I think it's the best way to understand that is just to provide you an example. So that is like, let's say that I personally prefer Sour Patch to Swedish Fish, because I prefer sour candies. And at the same time, I prefer Swedish Fish to M&Ms. So based on these two pieces of information, sour patch for me is better than Swedish fish, and Swedish fish is better than M&Ms. So naturally to expect that I actually prefer sour patch to M&Ms, right? And I actually do. So because my preferences for these candies is transitive. That is what we call transitivity. So if one product is better than the second one, and the second one is better than the third one, then if preferences of our consumer are transitive, consumer will prefer the first product to the third product. So transitivity actually violates like more often than completeness. So for some preferences that we are really having in like day-to-day life, some preferences might be not transitive. Let me provide you a couple examples. So the first example is pretty easy. I'm 100% sure that all of you played the game previously. So that is just scissor, pepper, and rock. So as you can see, we don't have actually transitivity here, right? So scissors, we prefer scissors to the pepper. Pepper is better than rock, and rock is better than scissors. Better here means just like that scissors beat pepper, pepper beats rock, and rock beats scissors. So as a result, we cannot pick the best one among these three options, right? In the previous example, when we had transitivity, my sour patch was the best product for me among these three products because, like, well, sour patch is better than Swedish fish is better than M&Ms, sour patch is better than M&Ms. So the sour patch is better than other two, we can pick the best product. Here we cannot pick the best product, right? Because like for any of these three options, we have something which is better and something which is worse. So that is like maybe the easiest way, the easiest example when transitivity of preferences violates. And we have like more fancy more fancy type of the same game, where again we cannot pick the best product, right? Because for any object we have two objects which are better, two products which are worse. So anyway, there are no transitivity here. Okay. Another example that I can provide you is like, what is better? So let's ask ourselves, what is better, complete happiness or sandwich? So probably the most people going to answer, I bet even everybody going to answer that complete happiness is better than sandwich, right? Natural to assume such preference from consumers. Also, we can say that nothing is better than complete happiness, right? So just complete happiness is maybe the best thing, so nothing is better than complete happiness. But on the other hand, sandwich is better than nothing. So as you see, we might pretend that we don't have transitivity here, right? Because sandwich is better than nothing, nothing is better than complete happiness, and complete happiness is better than sandwich. But that is just one of my stupid jokes where I'm cheating here a bit because this word nothing, and this word nothing is not the same object. So we use the same word to describe two different objects. So actually, here we form our preferences not for three objects, but for four different objects, and as a result, transitivity is not violated here. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway, transitivity pretty much just means that if A is better than B, B is better than C, then based on that we can say that A is better than C. And if that is not correct for the preference of our consumer, we say that transitivity is violated. Okay. Good. So these two properties are so important in economics that we even have the term which how do we call preferences which both at the same time complete and transitive, and we call such preferences rational preferences. So economists say that preferences of consumer are rational if they're complete and transitive and nothing else. So if you're sure that your preference is complete and transitive, you can be sure that your behavior, if you follow these preferences, your behavior is rational. That is when my friends tell me that it's not rational to buy vinyl records just because I can download anything right now, like using the Spotify. I even don't need to download anymore. So I can easily show that they're wrong because my preferences here are complete and transitive. That's enough to tell that to say that my preferences are rational, like over how do I prefer to consume music. Anyway, so what is important to know that absolutely all preferences that we're going to discuss in this class, they're going to be rational preferences. So Absolutely all preferences that we will touch in this microeconomic class are going to be complete and transitive, which means that our consumers always will be willing to compare any pair of products, and also transitivity also be here. So there is one like more or less modern and very hard topic in economics right now, actually, like even I will say the field of economics, which is called behavioral economics. And behavioral economics pretty much discusses irrational preferences. So such preferences where either completeness or transitivity does not hold. We will not touch any behavioral aspects of economics in our class. So again, all our preferences are going to be rational. But if you want to know more about that, I strongly encourage you to take a class in the behavioral economics. Our department actually provides the behavioral economics class for undergrad. So I don't remember just from the top of my head what is the number of the class, but you can find it on Connect Carolina. Okay, good. Any questions about these two properties? Good. So pretty easy, right? So let's discuss a couple more properties that might be important for us in discussion of consumers' preferences. So another property that we're going to discuss is monotonicity, so-called monotonicity property, which pretty much just means more is better. So I will assume that for me, at least, my preferences are definitely like that. That 3 packs of Sour Patch is better for me than 1 pack of Sour Patch. So here, more is definitely better. So, and yeah, that's what we call monotonicity. It's easy actually to imagine the preferences which are not monotonic. So when monotonicity does not hold. So for example, air pollution. So all of us will prefer less air pollution than more air pollution, right? So monotonicity definitely does not hold for our preferences and pollution. Or you can imagine any other bad things which actually provide you dissatisfaction. So you will prefer to consume as few or as little of these products as possible. So for example, like if I ask you what is better, 2 midterms or 3 midterms, well, okay, so that is not clear. Some of you will prefer 3 midterms, some of you will prefer 2 midterms. But what if I make this example extreme and I ask you, like, what is it better, like 2 midterms or 100 midterms per semester? Well, me at least will prefer 2 midterms rather than 100 midterms. Even no matter am I a student or a teacher, in both cases, I will prefer 2 midterms over 100 midterms. Okay, so monotonicity is another important property that's gonna, like many preferences that we discuss in this class, gonna hold monotonicity. So monotonicity is going to be true for many many preferences that we're going to discuss, but sometimes it's going to violate. So sometimes some preferences that we will discuss in our class are going to violate monotonicity. So not all preferences are going to be monotonic. Okay.